Speaking of millionaires, they put on rotten television programs. And billionaires, they put on even worse television programs. And this past week's Monday Night Raw was no exception to that. Dear Lord Almighty, why did they put Omos against Bobby Lashley in a cage on national television? In front, talk about a lights out match. That match should have been wrestled in the dark. And they should have blindfolded everybody just to make sure nobody accidentally hit the light switch.
When I tuned in and I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're going to start with a cage match. But then they started the promo and I said, oh, okay. They're just for some reason starting the show with a promo building up to the cage match later. And they have the cage around them. And then they just went to the match.
Well, they went to the match because they realized they left 20 minutes for this thing and then thought, my God, that's against the Geneva Convention of War to put these guys in a cage for 20 minutes. That MVP come out, and MVP started his promo 7 minutes into the show. Yes, they had the open and the billboard and the graphics and pyro and ballyhoo and all that stuff and recapping what they thought they were going to be presenting in the way of matches. And the countdown to Cody. As soon as they come on the air, an hour and 57 minutes, and you'll see Cody.
If you are a fan of wrestling, just wait. Here's when you can come back to the show. Yes, that's what they're saying.
Be back here in an hour and 57 minutes, folks. But again, he was a fucking executive vice president of a company. They didn't treat him like that big of a star. But anyway, so MVP starts his promo at 7 minutes into the show. And he started a promo about Lashley, and he got whatted, but he kicked it in when he was introducing Omos, and they booed his introduction. But the whole thing, I kept thinking, I was like, he's promoting what Omos is about to do to Bobby Lashley, but shouldn't they have done that last week to promote this match? Because they're already in the fucking ring. He's preaching to the choir here. I don't think anybody's going to suddenly grab their phone and say, Jesus, 2 minutes, turn on the USA Network. But MVP did a good promo. Here comes Lashley. Is that a different, the circular stage and the lighting like the bodybuilder pose? Has he been doing that, or is that a little new nuance at the top of his entrance?
I think they've been doing it for a little while, but the other thing is, I don't remember, maybe I'm wrong, I don't remember seeing the wide shot before they go to him close up, which I don't understand why they would even show him setting up on the stage before this big grudge cage match.
Well, maybe they just forgot. But I usually skip the entrances because they take so fucking long. But anyway, here comes Lashley, and here comes Cedric Alexander, and he gloms Bobby from behind, and he gets on him, and not one single punch looked real. And it's not like, oh, somebody's going to say, well, Cornette wants him to just come down there and punch him in the face 15 times. No, when you're throwing punches to Bobby Lashley's ribs, you don't need to have an open hand, and you don't need to look like you're playing patty cake with your daughter. He's a grown adult man. Or just don't do that thing that you can't do. How about that? So, almost an MVP get on him, and the referees come out, and the agents, and they're separating, and it was all sloppy, but at least it was movement. But then Lashley gets in the cage, and they go to the break. So they've started this whole thing hot to get everybody up. Oh, okay, and the break. And they're gone for 3 minutes, and when they come back, everybody's standing in the ring, and the announcers actually said, okay, we got order restored, now we'll start the match. And they ring the bell 15 minutes into the show, the bell rings to start the match. But has anybody ever told these fucking numbnuts that the whole reason that you jumpstart something like that and have all that chaos is to get people hooked and then keep it going? You don't restore order. You go with the chaos and keep it going because now you got them hooked, especially when you've got the Colossus of Rhodes here that can't fucking move. And that when they started the match, almost, I think it was 2 attempted punches and maybe a kick. He touched Bobby like 3 times, and Bobby started grovel selling. He's crawling on his hands and knees and he can't even look up from barely being touched by this. But then when Bobby fights back, Almost can't sell. So that means all of Bobby's shit looks fake. But I don't mean to just say that Almost can't sell. I mean to say he can't sell, he can't feed, he can't open up, he can't react, he can't stagger, he can't register, and he can't fall. That's what I mean to say. The first pop, really a pop in this whole thing, was when Lashley grabbed MVP's arm as he was reaching through the cage and tried to break his arm through the cage. And then he turned around and speared Almost, and that was the second big pop and got a 2 count. And then I thought, my God, they've got to be going home here, right? But they weren't. Lashley gets the hurt lock. Almost escapes somehow. Lashley hits him with a double boot, climbs the cage, Almost catches him. But Lashley knocks Almost back into the ring, and there's Cedric Alexander out again and climbs the cage. He climbed the cage like a goddamn human fly. And so it made, every time somebody's trying to escape that cage, they climb so slow, and Cedric got up there in 5 seconds. And Lashley tossed him off the top of the cage and then does a crossbody onto Almost, who catches him and throws him into the cage. And all that read better than it was. And it's still the best 30 seconds in Almost's career. And then the match died again. Because now they're doing something else. And Lashley threw. And again, I don't know what he's supposed to. I don't have an answer for what you're supposed to do when you're trying to work with a refrigerator. But he threw 10 punches at Almost, and the guy can't sell any of them, so it's like punching a statue in the park. Just, it's going to look like shit. And finally, Almost picked him up again and did the thing where he threw him into the cage on the other side of the ring, and the side of the cage snapped open and fell down, and Lashley just stepped up and touched the floor and won the match. And I got to, Adam Pearce did that finish in Ring of Honor with one of the Ring of Honor world title matches. And it works. I'm not saying the finish is bad, but that finish should come after a good match. And it's natural to that finish to leave things open for a rematch. And is this the second or third time we've seen this? And my God in heaven, do we ever want to see it again? Brian.
No, we do not want to see it again. I think it's the third time. Creative finish. I mean, the finish is the only good part of the entire thing. Not to take anything away from MVP on the mic, but that went on too long. This is a week of everything on wrestling going on way too long. With Omos, knowing that you had no involvement in his career at all, is there any way for you to tell if it's just he can't do anything, or is it just bad training?
Well, mostly I don't think he can do anything at all. He ain't got the picture. He don't see it in his mind. He's not physically potentially nimble enough or agile enough or capable of having that body language. I don't know. But then there's a way. If you get wrestling mentally, you can be almost immobile at that size and still you can draw some money and you can get something. But I don't know the variety of mistakes they've made with this guy. I don't think he's ready to be on television, but if they've been watching him longer than I have before he even got on television and they think, okay, this is as ready as he'll ever be, then I guess that's why he's on TV. He needed to be hidden and teased a lot more than he was before you saw that he couldn't do shit. And I'm not talking about hiding him so nobody can find him and he's not on TV. I'm talking about hiding him as the bodyguard in the group, as the enforcer, as something where he's not presented as a wrestler, but he can do completely controlled things in small quantities. But the fact that they gave him the double head squeeze indicates to me that they didn't have a lot of fucking confidence starting out. But But a body slam from this guy, if it's sold right and looked good, would have been better than a bad head clamp because he's 7 feet whatever. But I would have hidden him. I would have Heyman. I mean, you know, even Paulie may say, fuck you, but Heyman would have been the guy to talk for him. Heyman would have been the guy to employ him. Heyman would have been the guy to hide him. And by the time that he got finished with that, they could have probably got a massive buy rate for one pay-per-view off just putting the guy in the ring with somebody to do anything. But now that they've seen him several times, they have these matches, I mean, stand him next to Satnam Singh, because that's the only way Almost is going to look good. So I don't think that there's no training at fault here. It's just this guy is just, bless him, whatever he was doing beforehand, maybe he was better at that than he was at wrestling.
You know, not that everything was great before the network, but it really is the network that changed everything to the point where they just throw this shit out there. It means nothing. And like you said, they could have built to a buy rate. They don't give a shit about buy rates anymore. Now it's just, let's churn out content, get it out there. And it means the booking makes no sense. And it's stupid because they don't care about buy rates anymore. They don't care about what the big match will be.
But you know what? That's the way you made your stars. And the reason why there's no stars, big stars now, is because there's no big match and there's no big show. And then the one big show that's still a big show is WrestleMania. And now pretty much every year they've conditioned people that some big star that doesn't work here anymore is going to have to come back because we don't have no big stars. Because you don't have a big star without a big match, big title, big pay-per-view, big push, big whatever.